Hey everybody, Coach Scott Abel here coming at you again. I want to talk to you about the Hardgainer, solution, the Hardgainer demographic, the Hardgainer trainee. Do you identify yourself with the word Hardgainer? What I mean by that is, are you someone who goes to the gym consistently, regularly, and you really don't have anything to show for it? You've been going to the gym for years and still get asked if you work out at all. That kind of thing. You fall under this category, this demographic that I've identified, that I've labeled simplistically enough as the Hardgainer. And you want to pay attention to this because it's no longer an individual issue. I've come to understand that there are certain parameters that identify this as a separate demographic trainee group, and that you have several distinctions that make you unique in terms of what limits and obstructs your desire, your ability to develop your body and your physique the way you want to gain size and muscle development in a way that reflects the work that you're putting in. And also, for trainers and coaches, you probably have clients who you would identify as hard gainers, people who show up consistently in the gym and with the goal of muscular physique development, and they don't have much to show for it. They fall under the category of hard gainer. Now, a hard gainer, like I said, is no longer an individual issue. It's actually a demographic unique unto itself. And there's several distinctions that mark someone as a hard gainer. The problem in the past is experts aren't addressing this in terms that they should be. Experts address what works for them and what works for other experts. They address the science, if at all, of what stimulates muscle growth and adaptation. Well, for the hard gainer, what we need to start addressing is what limits and obstructs muscle growth and adaptation. And the problem up till now is you end up following physique stars or people with great bodies who develop products that have worked for them, and they put that online and you're supposed to follow it and it will quote unquote work for you. But that doesn't address the hard gainer as a specific demographic group. I'm going to give you three distinctions for the hard gainer that you need to consider. One is recovery needs. For the hard gainer, I talk in the book in the Hardgainer solution about recovery needs for the hard gainer are unique, both inter-workout recovery and intra-workout recovery. Well, what does that mean? Well, inter-workout recovery is the recovery you get between workouts. And so often for the hard gainer, the argument is made that you can't train as often because you don't recover the same way. But that line of thinking, as logical as it is, it's incomplete, because for the hard gainer you also need more constant stimulus. So if you're recovering, not training enough times per week, you're not going to get the stimulus that you need in order to build and develop your body. At the same time, it needs to be the right kind of stimulus so that you don't overtrain. And this speaks a lot to the element of intra-workout recovery needs, which is explained in the book. Monitoring things like oxygen debt so you don't get into that heavy panting phase, that you're working at a constant pace, but never training to failure, and always recovering, never working within the rep schemes that are demanded of, and never going too far into oxygen debt, things like that. So your intra-workout recovery is something you pay attention to in a different way that's usually offered as a solution for the hard gainer. This is a unique distinction, that the recovery needs for the hard gainer are unique and distinct from those of normal trainees. Secondly, you need a different kind of training stimulus. So often the argument in the physique industry is that you have to get strong to get big. Well, if you're a hard gainer, you don't get strong. I mean, that's part of what limits and obstructs your ability to get big. But we've also known in the industry for decades now, there's an old saying that the better a muscle pumps, then the better that muscle grows and develops. And most people who are genetically inclined will tell you that. Their favorite body parts are the ones that respond the easiestly to getting quote-unquote a pump. This has a lot to do with innervation, and I've talked about innervation training, and which just means nerve supply, but I've talked about that in my book, The Able Approach. This takes it to a new level for the Hardgainer. The Hardgainer has different stimulus needs. Your needs are the opposite of what you've been told, that you need to get strong in the bench, squat, and deadlift, and then you'll get big. Hey, there's lots of sports where they do bench squats and deadlifts for maximum weights in the off season, and nobody gets big from it. So that's a myth. You actually need higher reps, and you need that pumping cadence of the higher reps without going to failure, and that's all explained in the book as well, on how the need state of the Hardgainer is unique to that demographic group and very distinct. And if you start training yourself as a Hardgainer without training body parts but not having body part days, that's a unique distinction for the Hardgainer as well, because you need that systemic effect, then that's another consideration for the Hardgainer. And then third element, and believe me, there's 20 or 30 or 40 elements that I discuss in the book, but a third element is diet strategy. You know, how is the Hardgainer eating or not eating to make the gains they want? So often there's this cosmetic influence that you want to develop your physique, but you don't want to put on too much added weight, or you think you can get lean sculpted abs that you've never had before. At the same time, you're going to put on muscle, and all these sort of industry myths are dancing around in your head, and you don't have a solid diet strategy. Well, the diet strategy for the Hardgainer looks at the long-term approach rather than the short-term windows that this industry likes to reinforce. And what I mean by that is, yes, the Hardgainer needs to be in a calorie surplus, but it's not a calorie surplus where you're bulking up to a point where you're gaining 50, 60, 70 pounds, and then once you diet off that 50, 60, 70 pounds, you realize that all you gained was fat and you have nothing to show for it. I actually explain in the book how a calorie surplus for the Hardgainer isn't really as much of a surplus as you think when it's considered over the course of a year, the amount of calorie surplus that would necessitate building and rebuilding tissue for the Hardgainer, and that's all in there. Not only is the diet strategy of calorie surplus explained for the Hardgainer, there's actual diet strategies to follow, meal plans, like the exact meal plans that you can follow to the letter, idiot-proof. So if you're a Hardgainer, I'm just mentioning right now, or if you're a coach or a trainer who trains someone that you would label as a Hardgainer who's seeking physique development, then you'll want to get this book. I've just mentioned 3 of the distinctions for the Hardgainer here. Distinct recovery needs for the Hardgainer, distinct and different training stimulus needs for the Hardgainer, and a diet strategy that focuses on calorie surplus in a sensical, not a nonsensical way of bulking up or paring down and that kind of thing. So 3 important considerations that mark who the Hardgainer is and how to help them. Again, you can look at the Hardgainer solution, my new product. Just follow the link at the bottom here. It's available this week only for 99 cents on Amazon. 99 cents, a ridiculous price, but that's what they told me I should do on Amazon, so that's what I'm doing. So the Hardgainer solution, I've been working on this product for about 2 years now. I've had a lot of my private clients who I assume to be Hardgainers on the workouts. There's 80 different workouts. I've had them testing these, and the feedback has been tremendous, very positive. I'm very excited to bring this to you. So the Hardgainer solution, again, follow that link at the bottom here. It's available on Amazon for 99 cents right now. Get it while you can. This was just a brief sort of explanation to you of a Hardgainer demographic rather than an individual issue. There are actually parameters here that identify the Hardgainer and can help them achieve better physique results. And I've only mentioned 3: distinct recovery needs, distinct training stimulus need state for the Hardgainer, and the calorie surplus long-term strategy for the Hardgainer, all explained in great detail in the book with actual workout plans and meal plans to follow. It's the first time I've put together in one project meal plans with diet plans, but that's what's important for the Hardgainer. These things need to be tied together. So that's the Hardgainer solution. I'm excited to bring it to you. I hope you're excited to read it and offer some reviews on Amazon, and as always, stay tuned for a lot more.